We got an article right here from Brandon Ayafusi, who is from ESPN, and he did an article on the Browns roster, and he also did a little bit of cap forecast into 2025. And he makes the point in this article that the Browns have one of the most aging rosters in the league. When you take a look at the average age of those guys, their main players, and some of the guys that they got under contract, this is an aging roster, and the Browns are used to spending a lot of money on their roster, but there needs to be some retooling in specific areas, and we're going to talk about those right now. In recent years, the Browns have been big spenders. The franchise has almost $295 in cash committed to this year's rosters, the fifth largest payroll in the league, and already has the second most cash committed in 2025, according to the roster management system. The team has given out lucrative contracts, most notably a fully guaranteed $230 million deal to Deshaun Watson, and has aggressively done some restructuring of contracts, converting salaries to bonuses that can be spread out over multiple years to maximize short-term flexibility. But the massive draft capital sent away in the deal for Watson, which include 3 first-round draft picks, has limited the franchise's ability to add talent on a rookie contract. To fill the gaps, the Browns have signed several veteran players, but many of them are 30 years or nearing the age of 30. In 2025, the Browns, who entered Monday night's game against the Denver Broncos, which is coming up on Monday night, have a 1.1 chance of making the playoffs, according to FPI. Will have a first-round pick for the first time since 2021 and is currently projected to be a top 10 selection. Cleveland currently holds the 9 selections, including an extra third-rounder after trading Amari Cooper to the Bills. The team is expected to receive a pair of late-round compensatory picks as well. And the Browns have $49 million in cap space, the majority of which will be carried over in 2025. So the team can be cap compliant and make moves in free agency. The front office will do so also and look to extend and restructure contracts to establish players to get more wiggle room in free agency. Now, this is where the big part comes in of the age, and in terms of how this age affects the way that they want to go about building it. Just 1 year ago, an energy-riddled Browns roster won 11 games and reached the wild card round of the playoffs. The core of the team returned, featuring loads of experience in age, according to this article. Cleveland entered week 1 with 14 players aged 30 years or older, the most in the league. So when they have those league news where they got 25 under 25, the top 25 players under 25 years of age, the Browns are the oldest team in the league with 14 players over the age of 30, which is something that it's okay if you have a nice mix of young and old people and young and old guys that you look to mix together because you want to win now. But when you're 3 and something and you're the oldest team and you're spending the most money, you're in trouble, right? So it goes on to talk about the Deshaun Watson contract as well. In the aftermath of the injury, both Andrew Berry and Coach Kevin Stefanski have been non-committal on Deshaun Watson standing as a starter. It goes on to say later in the article, after restructuring his contract before the season, Watson will carry cap hits of $72.9 million in 2025 and 2026, both slated to be the second highest in the NFL. The Browns owe Watson $46 million in each of the next 2 seasons, and releasing him in the offseason would create $172 million and $99 million dead cap hits in 2025 and 2026, which would make the roster building prohibitive. So let's talk about that. People have been saying for 3 or 4 weeks, why can't they get rid of the contract? Should the Browns be able to just get out of the contract? Why can't they cut him? Why can't they take guaranteed is guaranteed. And the only way that the Cleveland Browns are going to continue to be able to field their roster and do some of those things is to restructure these deals. But there's a catch-22 to this. If you restructure Watson's deal, will it give you more cap flexibility to field people on the team and to go out and get more free agents? Yes. However, there is a downside to that. Though another restructure and pushing bigger cap hits further into the future would continue to tie Watson to the Browns financially. It's the biggest move Cleveland could make to free up cap room for the 2025 season. And completing another restructure, the Browns would be pushing cap into his future years when the salary cap is expected to be greater and the weight of the cap hit isn't as pronounced. So kicking the can, Jason Lloyd talks about this all the time. Kicking the can down the road, kicking the can down the road. What does that mean? Well, it means, we can restructure your deal, but that means Watson will be on your books or in your roster for longer periods of time. Now, most people are like, hey, could you just send him home? I've already said, listen, man, I'm not a big proponent in sending people to the crib and they ain't did nothing. If he wants to come, hang out and rehab, that has nothing to do with him being a bad teammate or whatever the case may be and being in the facility. The problem here is this. When you have to restructure his deal, that makes it longer for him to be around on your books. Now you're looking around, you say, do I want to just take the cap hits? Let's go ahead and say, it's going to be, you have to tighten our belt a couple of years in 2025, 2026. However, we're not going to restructure his deal. We're going to just bite the bullet. And after the contract runs, it runs. Now, one of the reasons I'm so adamant on Jameis Winston is this. You already know you're allocating this money to quarterback that is not going to play. You might want to get you something done at a cheap rate with Jameis Winston and get that out the way so you know how much you got to spend on making the roster better. Hey, I got a quarterback that I think I'm going to play, and now I'm going to use some of this other money that I might get from restructuring, or I'm going to use this other money to build some of these other holes and different gaps. And we'll talk about those different gaps and holes right now. Let's look at the aging veterans, right? Joe Bitonio, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, Ethan Poaches, Wyatt Teller. The offensive line. Basically, everybody on that list was a stalwart of what we were trying to do, except for Jed Wills. So this section is mainly composed of players who were drafted by the Browns or have spent the majority of their careers in Cleveland, but also at least 30 or will turn 30 in the next year. Chubb returned in October, and his second major left knee injury is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent after the season and still working to get back to his Pro Bowl form. He'll turn 30 next December while playing a bruising style position that has often rapid decline at that age. Bitonio, Conklin, Teller, and Poaches are all stalwarts of the offensive line that have been one of the best in the league for years, but struggled in 2024. Bitonio is turning 33. He has one more year on his remaining 3-year contract extension he signed in 2021, but has said he's taking it 1 year at a time and has acknowledged his career is close to the end. Conklin and Teller, Poaches are all under contract for 2025, but the front office will have to determine whether or not the offensive line struggles this season are a one-off or a product of aging linemen. I'd say aging. Joe Bitonio is not himself. He's aging at a pace. Ethan Poaches has not had a great season. Wyatt Teller's been injured often throughout his last 3 or 4 years. And you know what the injury situations with Nick Chubb. So these are some of the positions that we've come to grow and accustomed to playing that are getting old and that we need to address either in free agency or the draft. If you take a quarterback, you're not going to be able to get another offensive lineman, right? You do have Zach Zenner. You do have Luke Whippler coming back. Those are with guard and a center that you got from Michigan and Ohio State. DeJuan Jones is coming back. So those are guys that you have earmarked for positions that could potentially take those roles. But you could also use some depth in those areas too. Let's talk about the aging additions really quickly. Won't read all of it, but we'll just skim through it. Players like Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, Jordan Hicks, Rodney McLeod, Obo Akaranko, Juan Thornhill, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Jameis Winston. You take a look at it. McLeod has already said he's done after this year. And a lot of those guys, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hall, and Tomlinson, are your starting guys that are in the middle moving around. Now, granted, they do got Mike Hall Jr. He's injured and looks like he could possibly miss the rest of the season. They had some big hopes from him, But one of the things that we have to look at, Jordan Hicks is one of those one-year linebackers that the Browns typically try to sign to be stopgaps. But the injury to JOK could be devastating. You got JOK. He was looking like he was an impact player. He was one of your best defensive players, second best defender besides Myles Garrett. I thought he was going to be on a Pro Bowl trajectory. He has the neck injury, and everything is up in the air with that. We don't know if it's nerve damage. We don't know if he's going to be able to continue to play. But now you have to look at that position as another position of weakness because you have Jordan Hicks, who's a one-year type player, and you don't have any guys that are in the pipeline that look like they're going to be special players. Diabate, Devin Bush, those are Jags. Those are just guys. So you might have to look at that. And you're still looking for a pass rusher opposite of Myles Garrett. Juan Thornhill, he hasn't made that much of an impact on the roster. So these are all things that the Browns are going to have to take a look at because these are some of the other places besides quarterback where I think we kind of overlook some of this stuff. And you have your first round pick, but at the end of the day, that's just one pick. That's just one pick. That ain't something that you're going to have, for it's not like you got 2 or 3 picks that you can stockpile and jump up there. If you're looking to get a quarterback or you're looking to get a second round pick or you're looking to get a quarterback later, those are going to take from the opportunity to take some of these positions, especially premium positions like edge rusher or tackle.